Good evening and welcome to the January 27th first meeting of the Redevelopment Commission of 2025. With me at the desk this evening is Jacob Blaisdell, Chris Meter, Rhonda Schwartz, Adam Young, also our school representative, Eric Roseborough. In the audience is our executive assistant, Eder Lopez, and also with us this evening is our town manager, Grant Kleinsens, who has been helping fill in as our pseudo-economic director in the interim here. So welcome everyone this evening. Nobody in the audience. I will call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock and confirm that we have a quorum and proper notice of the meeting has been given.
Yes.
The first item on our agenda tonight is an election of the officers of our commission for this year. So I will go ahead and open nominations for our positions. That's president, vice president, and secretary. So I'll open nominations for president.
So I'd like to make a nomination for Jennifer Miller to be president of the SRC.
All right. If there are none others, I will close the nominations for president. Next is nominations for vice president.
I would like to nominate Jacob Blaisdell as vice president.
If there are no other nominations, we'll close nominations for vice president and open nominations for secretary.
I would like to nominate Christine Meter for secretary.
Right. And with no other nominations, we'll close nominations for secretary. I will now accept a motion to approve the slate.
What?
I'll make a motion that we approve the slate for these three positions. It's something that we get appointed every 12 months to be a part of the SRC, and the reality of it is I think having specific people that have already been in these leadership roles continue on a lot of the projects makes a whole lot of strategic sense. Jennifer's done a great job over the last few years, Jacob coming on board last year, Chris keeping us organized, and all the things that we have discussion on. So I'll make a motion that we keep leadership in current role going in for 2025.
I will second that.
Thank you all. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the slate, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No dissent, passes 5-0. All right, nobody with us this evening. Did we receive any prior comment?
We did not.
Thank you. Next is the consent of the regular session meeting minutes for our December meeting. Those were previously distributed. Any other comments or corrections? Seeing none, we'll approve those by consent. Next is approval of a memo of a joint session with the Town Council and Redevelopment Commission on January 13th. Any comments or edits on that?
No.
All right. We'll go ahead and I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the memo, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No dissent, passes 5-0. Next is approval of claims and expenses for the month. Grant, are there any you'd like to highlight?
They are, to be honest, they're completely standard, with the exception of, you'll notice every single one of our debt service payments for all of the various outstanding economic development, lease rental bonds. The claims amount total $2,534,940.51, which is significantly higher than it normally is. You will notice that with Carmen leaving, there has been a couple of salary and payrolls, but that will slow down now that that position is vacant. Snow removal on Main Street parking lots has been done. Our Reagan advertising lawsuit with KGR has progressed, and the Wilshaw project has some expenses, as well as Bose, McKinney, and Evans, with some general matters and other discussions with them. You'll also notice that on the claims docket, and I think previously you approved this, was the Speedway Trails Association donation for the bridge enhancements on 10th Street in the amount of $218,980. So I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Grant?
No.
So usually January, and then I believe it's July, is when we have these big payments where we kind of see some outgoing funds for our different bond payments and that kind of thing. But we plan for these. This is why we have our TIF and all these things to cover. So we look forward to those biannually. All right, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the claims as submitted.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This is 5-0. All right, our director/town manager report.
I just have a couple of items, won't go into great detail. We have advertised the position, the open position of Economic Development Director. That was done that third week of December. We did receive about 30 resumes. I know I've distributed those to the SRC. I think we chose about 6 or 7 to do phone interviews with. Those phone interviews were completed by the end of last week. I have a report. I just have not had a chance to send it on to you or review it myself. But from those 6 or 7, I think we need to choose our 3 or so candidates, maybe 4, to potentially do in-person interviews, and then continue to make progress towards filling that position. At this point, my guess is best case would be middle of March before, maybe end of March before someone would start. That would actually give that person about 6 weeks to get up to speed before May starts, which would be a good thing because there's always a lot of activity, approval of parking agreements, but that's that item. I have also met with several developers over the past couple of weeks. I will have some information coming to you soon. I'm working on some emails. I beg your patience because I'm still operating as the town manager as well. It is a good time of the year, frankly, to have the extra duties, but there's just a lot going on. So I'll have some information on those to you. We'll need to consider different things that you'll need to make some decisions on. We might do an executive session. On the agenda tonight, there's a couple of items that have come to fruition. I know Carmen shepherded those mostly through the process. We're now wrapping a couple of those items up, putting new investment in town and helping things move forward, and I think that's a good thing. So that's all that I've got at this point.
Any other questions?
Are we still accepting applications for the position?
Yes, we
It's kind of
will.
open right now. Okay.
I think accepting until the position is filled.
Okay.
So if there's someone good out there, please have them submit a resume.
Okay. Yep.
Jacob, you could submit a resume.
I was wondering if he was going to
Nope,
apply.
that's not why I was asking, but thanks, Grant.
I'd love to work with you again.
All right. Well, we do have a lot of new business this evening. We will actually be adding another item at the end after the ones that are listed. So we'll just go ahead and jump right in. The first one is approval of professional services contract with, I can never say this right. Keyser Consulting for the Main Street project. Grant, can you tell more?
So the document that has been provided you in the packet isn't necessarily their proposal. They have provided their cost for the survey and then the full design bid packet bidding process. I'll go over those. But this project is the rebuilding, overlay, redoing some of the concrete, curbing, crosswalks, et cetera, on Main Street since they were initially put in. This was an effort that was started, I think, in 2020 and 2021. We actually got our first improvements with the improvements to the stamped concrete kind of in front of Dawson's, and we've just kind of put a break on that because we had changeover, we had 2 new directors. I think Carmen was moving that forward, and we would like to consider that because the road is starting to show its age. The proposal from Keyser, and once again, this document that you have in the packet shows the cost of kind of the full project and then some options. I still believe that we can phase this or do it over a couple of years, period. I am not sure we need to do it all at once. Now, there is savings, I think, if you do it all at once. Costs are not also going to go down. They're only going to go up. But I understand cash flow other priorities are on the mind of the Redevelopment Commission. The proposal from Kieser, though, it comes in two parts, and I cannot find exact records of what was discussed with the SRC. I think both were, but preparation of plans and specs for the bidding process would be about $144,000. The survey only, which would do things like some borings, look at the depth of the asphalt, depth of the concrete, to make some decisions about those final plans, that is in the amount of $40,100. So I think tonight, if the SRC is so inclined, to approve everything, but I do believe the most important part is the topographical survey. What I would ask also, if you make a motion to direct me to negotiate a contract with Kieser, we'll get that sent around. The attorney will review it, and then Jennifer or myself can sign that so that we can get them started on that project. I think ideally, over the next couple of months, survey would be completed. Then we would need to make a decision about final design with, I think, the hope of maybe going to bid in the summer or even into the fall and have it be a project that goes over. I don't really know, but once again, we got to consider those and strategize what makes the most sense economically.
Yeah.
So I'll answer any questions that you might have. We've used Kieser on a number of projects. They typically do our street overlay program or our sidewalk replacement for the transportation board. This year, last year actually, we gave them a large job. They are doing the full design for the 25th Street reconstruction. They've done a good job. That is out to bid. Bids are due, I want to say February the 6th. They'll review those and help us, but they have done a good job and I think caught some things that we needed to do properly. So I know they're a small firm, but they have done good work for the town. Mm-hmm. So I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Grant? I have some comments, but. So we're very early in the process of this project. It's a big project. We understand that. We are starting at one here, understanding that this is going to take a while to plan and to prep and all that kind of stuff. So I would recommend that we just go ahead and approve the survey for now so that we know what condition we're dealing with in the street. We talked earlier about the bond for this project was taken out in 2009, is that correct? The original?
The maintenance bond?
To create Main Street. Was it
2010.
2010.
Yeah.
So the street obviously has had some wear and tear. It's been around for a while. It's the most, one of the very important parts of our town, so we want to make sure we do it right. But we also understand, again, it's one of the major points in our town, so it's going to be used a lot. We need to talk through the phasing and how this will affect our town and all the wonderful events that we host throughout the year. So we're going to be very strategic about that, talking about the phasing, figuring out what works best for everyone with this project. So with that, I'll go ahead and enter.
Right.
Yeah,
So we're talking about your proposals that we go ahead and do just the survey or kind of like the assessment of the street and do the core and all that kind of stuff. Okay, but not actually go forward with the plans at this time. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And
So
I,
that will be $40,100 is the
Okay.
proposal that we.
can you try to negotiate that 100 off there for us? No.
Sure, yes, I'll go back to that.
Very specific. I like that,
It's
though.
very specific.
One thing I would like the public just to understand, obviously, these are big decisions for our town. We want to try to make the right decisions, but we're nowhere by far experts at roads and road work. So we've got to look out and got to go out and get, $40,000 surveys and understand what we're dealing with so we can make the right prudent decision for the town. So I would agree that this would be our first step, is to do this, to get the knowledge that we need to make that kind of decision.
Yeah. And I would say not having the appropriate assessment or understanding of what we're really working with, a lot can change over that many years, a decade and a half here. So I think it's important that we really understand what is going on with the condition, make sure we design and get the right project so that, because we have some pretty expensive mistakes if you don't know what you're working with and get it right the first time. So I think it's a good first step for us.
Great. All right, well, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the negotiation of a contract for the survey work with
Kieser.
Kieser Consulting.
I'll make a motion that we approve a professional services contract with Kieser Consulting Group for the Main Street project in the amount of $40,100.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
I will try to get that $100 negotiated. I'll do my best. That's a tall ask, but I will do my best.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our next agenda item is approval of the Economic Development Agreement with DA Dental Partners. Grant?
Yes, thank you. So this is an agreement with DA Dental Partners. Ashwani Sharma, he is a dentist, purchased the property in 2019, 2020. COVID hit. I think he had a lot of plans. Those were put on hold. He also developed his office and practice in Brownsburg on a key corner. If you have not seen that, go there and see that. It's a really nice, it is right on Crawfordsville Road, 161. It's really nice. He's going to replicate that in the form of a strip center. You have seen those drawings. I think it looks really nice. The development of that project is an estimated $1,299,579.58. He has requested, and we have negotiated that, and I think everyone seemed on board with us paying for his cost of development, or a partial cost of development, including things like Board of Zoning appeal fees that he had to pay for 2 petitions, structural inspection, temporary power poles, water and sewer connections to the town's utilities, site work permit, stormwater permit, all told in the amount of $21,291. So with that, I think tonight we're requesting approval of this agreement. He has signed the agreement, so when it is signed, we'll get a copy back to him and put into process a claim reimbursing him, because he's paid all those fees to the town, reimbursing him in that amount.
And I think one thing we got added into the EDA was that the payment of this is tied to getting a certificate of occupation.
It is. Occupancy.
Yeah, sorry, it's been a long day.
It is.
And so that way we make sure that the building is complete and ready to go, and
Yep.
that's how we will, the time when we will
Yep.
reimburse. Great. Any questions for Grant?
Just comment that it's a great project. I mean, we're not talking about what the building is called. I mean, can we do that? It's the old Burger Chef site.
Sure, yeah.
So I don't know if anybody would know it by any other name.
Knows it's been torn down.
Everyone knows what it is, and it's gone. Yeah. So obviously that's been an eyesore for a very long time, and rebuilding that will obviously create a lot of additional tax revenue for the town, a lot more activity, and kind of really update. We're always kind of looking at that south side of Crawfordsville Road as well as north side, but you know, it's sort of like broken up. Obviously some road improvements are planned for the area as well, so just great project. Happy to see that it's moved forward and that Dr. Sharma's moving along with it.
I agree. He actually came and spoke with us at a meeting. You know, it's been a number of months now, but really showed the passion for what he was trying to do here in development-wise. And just for the public to know, I mean, the SRC is here to listen to people that want to bring business to the town of Speedway. That's kind of the point. And when we can kind of look at creative ways that we can give, you know, fees or different things that the town's charges to bring in these type of businesses, that's kind of the point of what we do. So I'm going to highlight that to any other developers out there that want to come and talk to us. This is, you know, fairly on a smaller scale, but It's still an equity position that he's putting in this town that is going to drive that tax revenue, potential jobs. And I think that just from a creative standpoint, as this world is ever evolving, and as we are a landlocked town, you know, we should look as a town at these creative type things in a lot of different environments. And I think we have a town council right now that's open for these type of discussions. And as a group on the SRC that's now, you know, been here for a couple of years, you know, if you've got some creative ideas as the business community, feel free to come and talk to us, because I think we're ready to listen, and we've got some, you know, different opportunities within the town that we could look at doing these types of things for your business as well. And maybe even for, you know, the residential side, we can look at some things. So just throw that out there.
One other comment I would have about this project will roughly quadruple the assessed value of that site.
Right.
Yeah.
I think at the time that it was operating as a location, it had a bigger assessment, but I checked the rolls, this was 6 or 8 months ago, and it was like $250,000 assessed as, because it was vacant, falling apart, not really being used. So going from that to almost 1.3 million, now assessed, it won't be assessed that much, but it'll be much closer to 2 or 3 times that amount, which is, that's exactly what the Redevelopment Commission is tasked with doing, and have done that well over the years.
And I was very impressed with Dr. Sharma's quality of product that he showed us as well in the renderings.
Right.
I think that'll be a great addition to our town. All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the EDA.
I make a motion that we approve the EDA with DA Dental Partners LLC.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, moving right along, approval of addendum number 1 to the professional services agreement with REA for the 16th and Main Street Gateway Roundabout project.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. So we've been in discussions with several community partners doing some fundraising to develop the roundabout that we have shown to the community over the past, say, 18 or 24 months in connection with the gateway sign that we did just do last year. Actually, that was in 23 and finished in 24 and became lit up. But now it's time to move forward with a phasing of that project to match the amount of those donations that we hope to receive. And then the SRC can discuss additional monies to put into the project to do these different phases. So Jennifer and I met with REA, Patrick Stout and Kevin Osborne, over the past couple of weeks. We met with them, I think, once or twice, a couple of emails as well. So we are proposing an amendment to the project in the amount of, now make sure I get the numbers right here, $172,300 for the amended portion of the agreement, which will bring the total contract to $249,850. And that is broken down in the attachment Exhibit C1 on the back page of the agreement. It does include design development where they will phase that project, give some options so we can make those decisions. Construction documents and permitting, the bidding phase. Then they have shown in here construction administration as well. I know that's something we might discuss. And then just expenses, mailing, travel, mileage, et cetera. But this will, once again, get us to that next phase where we can decide, okay, this is what we want to do. Maybe not the full-blown $3 to $3.5 million full complete build. I think that would be great, but we've got a commitment, a soft commitment. We need to work through that, but it will get us like a step closer to the completion of that project. So we recommend approval of this. I'll answer any questions that you might have about this.
Talking about the construction administration, I think we might approve this with allowing Grant to negotiate again on this. You mentioned about the construction administration. Last time when we did the Gateway project, we had Veritas as our owner's rep for that. If we invite another owner's rep for this project, full construction administration from REA might not be necessary, but we can kind of work through that as it comes.
If I remember correctly, we kind of did a nominal amount on the gateway sign. I want to say it was like 7,500 for REA because they reviewed what was being put in, the documents, the change orders, those different things. And I think that's wise, but to have someone else monitoring the construction, I think is the way that typically we have done that over the years.
Seems reasonable.
Questions? It is exciting to have this potential donor with us on this project. I think it's really going to kind of give some momentum to this, and we'll kind of start reaching out to other community partners and see how we can get this together and to an actual project fruition. So it's exciting.
Okay. So the proposals that we'll approve as it stands in front of us, which includes the construction administration, but we would decide later on if we wanted to actually move forward with that
Yes.
component of it. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be approving grant to negotiate this comment
Okay.
presented to us this evening.
Okay.
I'm a negotiating fool, I guess.
That's right. We're gonna
got
get
to,
that $100 off,
$100.
Grant. That's what we're
$100,
really
wow.
looking for.
I could knock $100 off of that. I'm
Maybe
sure they would
get-
be okay with that.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion of approval of the amendment number 1 to the professional service agreement with REA for the 16th and Main Street Gateway Roundabout Project to be negotiated by Grant.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. This is a unique one.
It is, yeah.
Bear with us, everyone, for a description. The next item on our agenda is request for return of Wilshaw deficiency payment. Grant?
Yes, so we have an agreement with the Scannell Family Trust that if the funds from taxes do not come in to pay the debt service when it is due, that they will cut a check for the discrepancy or the difference. Because taxes were late, Philip had to send out a deficiency notice at the end of the year before the taxes were received. Scannell actually paid, as identified here in this letter, an amount of $161,456.55. They paid that, but then the taxes literally were deposited into the SRC fund accounts a week or two later. So Philip has reviewed this. He's recommending we reimburse or reissue that check from the account back to the developer because the taxes came in to cover, and he's saying, let's give this amount back. Does not happen very often.
Yeah.
But I think the taxes were late this year, and it's one of those things when the debt service is due, we have to make those payments.
As we saw on our claims earlier.
Yes.
All right, any questions or comments?
Do we know if it was administrative at the county level, or was it the result of late property tax payments?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if Philip gave all the full, my guess is it's the administrative side, but
Okay.
I don't want to call out anybody at Marion County. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, right?
Well,
So,
but it's good that the money came, I mean, because typically they only send it twice a year. So
Yes.
this came in, or whatever issue was realized, so it sounds like made a special payment to get the money to us, so that's,
and we have had.
glad it got fixed easily, quickly.
We have had some late tax payments over the past, say, couple of years from a couple of the businesses in that Main Street, but they always get paid. This, I think, was more an administrative delay because those taxes were paid.
Gotcha.
If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay.
So I think the motion, if you make a motion for this, just a motion to reissue, just the wording here, back to the payor from those accounts because they're not needed to make that debt payment.
Okay.
Hopefully Philip can divine from the motion what he needs.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to return the excess payment back to the Wilshaw, I guess, is it the Family Trust? Is that the one that-
Scannell
To
Development
return
Company.
the money back to the Scannell Development Company.
Yep.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. We'll go ahead and vote. All those approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. All right. Approval, we will try not to make this awkward. Approval of temporary pay adjustment for our executive assistant.
Yes, so similar to last year and actually the time before when we had a transition of a couple of months, I had requested from the SRC, and the council has to put it into a salary ordinance to have it official. This is the first step in that two-step process this evening. I am asking for you to approve the payment of $125, which is what we've done the last two times, per week, $250 a pay period, roughly $500 per month to Eder for that extra time and effort. Because the reality is I just can't do everything. So I have to sometimes from time to time shift things over to him. That Carmen would have been doing, finding agreements, he did some research this past week in development cost and permit fees that Carmen would have done for an unrelated matter, but it's something that I just didn't have the time to do. Mm-hmm. So that's the recommendation, is that $125 per week, $250 every paycheck until the position is filled, or the wording I think we need to say is the end of the year, because that salary ordinance will cover, that's worst case, if we can't hire someone. I don't foresee that happening, but I think the language will also say it will be the pay period after the director starts, once they do officially start. So there will be a little lag as he is getting that person up to speed.
All right. Any questions or comments?
Do you think he can negotiate that $100 if he can't get it?
Maybe. I could delegate that to him.
Has he got it?
All right, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the temporary pay adjustment for our executive assistant at $125 a week until the position's filled or till the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll second.
And it will actually be the pay period after the position is filled or until the end of the year,
Okay.
depending on what happens.
Running through the pay period after the position is filled.
I'll second.
Thank you. You have
And there was one more point. I know he had requested specific language.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I thought I had that printed out. I think we're covered.
I think the public understands what we're doing.
Yeah, I think we're covered.
Okay.
Oh, I know there will be a transfer of funds, we will pay it out of our funds currently because it's an accounting issue. Mm-hmm. And then he'll just do a big transfer when it's all done. That was, I think, the third
Okay.
and final part that I was supposed to mention. Can we add that to your motion?
Yeah.
Great.
So added.
I think that's all we need.
Okay.
And I'll second that amended motion.
I have a motion and a second. Final. All those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Discussion of temporary change to redevelopment commission meeting day. This should be easy.
This is a request from me. As you know, we have a council meeting this evening as well. Prior to the council meeting, we almost always have either an executive session with the council or an administrative session under state code. It just makes it very difficult for me to have to miss that meeting to do this meeting. So I'm really asking if we can kind of change it from the fourth Monday of the month to basically the third Monday of the month, but I think the 18th will be our next meeting because President's Day is on the 17th. Does that make sense? Correct, Eder? So President's Day is a holiday. I'm hoping not to have to come in that day. We don't get those kind of holidays that often. Can we make the next meeting the 18th, but then subsequent meetings the third Monday of every month rather than the fourth? And if that causes a problem, then we can figure something else out.
Yeah, I know Eder had sent about being the third Monday of the month previously. Does a Tuesday night work for everybody? Will we have a quorum?
I think so.
Okay, cool. All right. So I think we're okay.
Okay.
We don't have to vote on that, do we?
I don't think so. And then the only other item is the additional item from the payment for Smock Fansler.
Yes.
So this is an item that I'm requesting to add. I apologize, I did not get this. I'd sent it to Eder, he had prepared the claim, I'd signed the claim. I just forgot to add it to the agenda. We just have a lot going on. But as I mentioned before the meeting, as I was discussing this, in November of 2023, we brought a proposal to the Redevelopment Commission for you to approve a contract with Smock and their irrigation contractor, as they were doing the new gateway irrigation system with the new plantings, to inspect the remainder of the existing system because we knew we had issues with it. Over the years, it's broken or been burst. Controllers have stopped working completely, and we asked the SRC to assist in paying that. The quote that you approved at that time was a not-to-exceed total of $75,000. I'm pleased to report that the final cost of that was only $30,155. That was a heck of a negotiation. They
135.
They did a not to exceed, thinking there might be more work. When they got into it, there was less work than actually was required. But once again, with the new irrigation system, now we have a matching, not all new, but repaired, upgraded controllers that all now communicate together. It will make it much easier to turn off and on, to program. We have a contractor every year do the winterization in September or October, and then we do the spring kind of startup in April. So it will be much better. We appreciate the SRC agreeing to do that, and I think we're pleased that we saved $45,000 on that final cost. So I'm asking for us to approve the payment of this claim. It will appear on your next month's docket, but the check will be issued later this week. Once Philip sees the minutes and other things, he will issue this check. I didn't want them to have to wait till the end of February. They have provided this the end of the year, so I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
So this irrigation system, this kind of obviously helps with keeping our main thoroughfare there on Crawfordsville Road green.
Yep, green and lush and looking good, so.
So I think it's definitely a benefit and something that we're happy that we're keeping up with.
Yeah.
So I would definitely approve.
And Jacob, I think that was put in about 15 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we got a good life out of it. I think the town probably didn't do as good a job just maintaining it and upkeeping it. I have discussed that with staff. We're going to do a much better job of making sure we upkeep that. When a controller breaks, we're going to replace it. We're not going to wait. So we need it to work.
Yeah. All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the invoice for Smock Fansler.
I'll make a motion that we approve the invoice for Smock Fansler for the irrigation repairs on Crawfordsville Road totaling $30,155.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Cut the check, Philip.
There is no old business listed. Any upcoming events to highlight? It's kind of a quiet time of the year for businesses and restaurants with, cold temperatures and that kind of thing. They're always looking for people to come out and spend their money. So if you're able, please make sure to visit our local businesses and restaurants. With that, I'll adjourn the meeting at 6:38.